This video has found you because you are done with obsessing about the narcissistic relationships in your life and you are ready to call in healthier love and relationships, even if it scares you a little bit. You've done the whole going down the rabbit hole of why do they do the things that they do, learning about gaslighting to understand your reality, about flying monkeys, about triangulation. Like you've done all of this stuff to process what you've been through in your life, but your heart is really pining for healthy relationships that are emotionally safe and that are reciprocal, but you don't really trust yourself because of the relationships you've had in your life. You may have been healing like me for over a decade, longer, shorter, and you feel this desire to not be lonely anymore, to be seen, to be heard, to be valued, to be given love as well as receive it, but you kind of lost your trust along the way. Even though you know why you are like this, you know it's come from childhood. This is what I remember saying this to my therapist. Okay, I really understand why I'm effed in relationships because I had a narcissistic father. And I get that, but how do I stop being like this? And that has been the question of my life. And that took me to heal the patterns, first in romantic love and then in other relationships, because it didn't just stop in one area, it kind of followed me around. I've been determined to figure this out. And then I've been helping other people to do it over the last 5.5 years. And this video is what I wish that I found years ago, even last year, as I was kind of cutting myself out from female narcissistic dynamics. Narcissism is a spectrum, right? So you have on one end is an empath that's more in their shadow. So they're very needless, wantless, don't take care of themselves. And then you've got the narcissist on the other end of the spectrum that is super, super narcissistic, right? But there is a whole spectrum. There is healthy narcissism. It's just that children that were empathic and sensitive who had a narcissistic parent have rejected those parts of themselves, the healthy narcissism, because it just simply wasn't safe for them to be that person. Because there is a middle ground. And that's why we are attracted to these relationships because they are the opposite of us. And what I found on my journey of healing from narcissism is that I would become very aware of like really obvious narcissist stuff and break that pattern. But then as I would heal, I would be going more and more to that middle ground, which is healthy empathy, healthy narcissism. But I was still noticing dynamics in my relationships, whether it be friendships, whether it be in my business, whether it be in community, whether it be in mentorship. I was always being reflected back what was still within me to heal. One day you'll thank these people that have come into your life to mirror back these wounds. What people can do as a strategy is actually avoid relationships and be lonely because they are like, oh, then I'm safe. This is you're longing so much to have relationships, but you don't trust yourself. So this is going to help you, okay? So just realizing that you are not bad or wrong because of what happened. And I'm really sorry that it happened to you, but it was just showing you unconscious patterns within you. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through each energy center. And this is the work that I do with my clients one to one or in my community. It ends with me. And we will go through each one so that you can understand how to embody a healthier energy at that layer. Now, our relationships are a reflection of us and they are just communicating back what stage of energy we're at. So when we're, say, really in a lot of energy or I'm not good enough, a lot of shame, that is a lower frequency. And that means that we are attracting relationships where they also have a lot of shame, but they're just showing it in a different way. But the more you heal and grow up your younger parts, help the protective parts of your nervous system to stop doing the things that they do, you will not attract those people. They won't find you attractive. They'll find you really annoying and repulsive. And you will feel the same about them when you are not obsessing about the narcissist and what they want and what they need. And actually, you're bringing the focus back to yourself. So we're going to start with the root chakra, internal and external safety. So many of my clients grew up in a home with a narcissist, whether it be a parent or sibling, uncle, auntie, grandparent. So they grew up from like womb to like 7, where they're in the developmental stages, with a personality that's very much about their needs, is almost like a child, is having a form of tantrum if they're not getting what they want, is aggressive, scary, And the little body, my clients are more sensitive and empathic. So they're feeling all of these emotions in their own body, in their nervous systems. When my dad was like this, if he was angry or upset, I could feel it inside of me really strongly. I didn't know what was his emotions and what were mine. There was like no separation. I had literally no boundaries. So what I learned to do as a little kid was when I'd feel those emotions, I would try to be really good or like give him what he needed. If that was be really, really silent, if that was not to play, if that was not to rest, because if I was being a little adult, he was happier with me. Whatever that looked like, I learned what could I do so he could be less scary. And that's something a lot of us do. We learn these protective strategies, but sadly, what happens then is that we learn that's how to be in relationships. So we take those strategies into other relationships. So as an adult, my dad died when I was 26. But even though he wasn't in my life anymore, I wasn't having this narcissistic, abusive relationship with him. But I was gravitating towards people that would do similar things because that felt really normal to me and really familiar. And almost like I couldn't quite rest with a peaceful, calm relationship. I was always spending more energy and more time on the ones that felt more like him until I did some healing and started to move away from that. And so this internalized safety has never really been there because of that early beginning. It's wired into the nervous system. You'll gravitate towards relationships that feel similar, and it just keeps carrying on the cycle. So, what's really important about this is to begin to separate your nervous system for other people's emotions. So, having emotional boundaries from other people when you're feeling fear or anxiety or anything, is it your emotion or are you picking up on somebody else's? Something I was doing without even realizing, because since I've been a child, I've been very hyper vigilant. So, scanning for danger all of the time, especially in my relationships, almost like unconsciously tuning into people and being like, are they upset with me? What do I need to do to fix it? I'm talking all of my relationships from family members to friends to clients. It was so exhausting. This is why I got really burnt out. So, really noticing these patterns that you're doing. Where am I not feeling safe in relationships? And where is it just my own pattern? Where is it just my own protective pattern? So, for example, I am now married to somebody that's super healthy, not narcissistic at all, but yet I would be scanning for his emotions. I'd be like, oh, he's a bit down today. Oh, he's a bit tired. Oh, he's a bit grumpy. Oh, I should control the situation. He's not asking me to do anything, but I'm doing a unconscious pattern that I learned from living in chaos. So it's really understanding where are you not feeling safe and what is the behavior that you're doing? How are you thinking? How are you feeling? And how are you acting? And becoming really aware of those patterns because they are showing a lower frequency of fear, of anxiety, of shame. And it's not actually about the current situation. This is your own internal relationship with yourself. And this is so different for every single person that allow you to feel grounded and safe and present in your own body. Kids of trauma, kids that have grown up around narcissistic parents and family members, they disassociate. I fly out of my body. It's great. Fly out of my body, eat food, numb myself somehow, but just I could not bring myself to feel all the emotions. But part of your journey of recovery is getting back in the emotions and allowing yourself to feel them and then giving yourself the what you need, basically being the parent. So whether that means you need protection, whether that means you need to say no, whether that means you need to have a boundary with yourself. We don't talk to ourselves like that anymore. Right. So when I was doing this exercise and simply what is making me feel unsafe in a day was like my inner voice. It was certain people that were messaging me and my body would clench because it was felt like they were demanding things of me and I wasn't really getting it back. The way I was approaching my work. So really start to become aware of what these things are, then build structures, routines, habits to create a safety for yourself. So for example, if you went for a walk, had a bath, really hydrated, you might notice that you feel more safe and secure in your body. If you speak to a really positive friend, you notice that you're feeling really good. It's building a life and a structure to make yourself feel emotionally safe on the planet. Because with that narcissistic abuse, I never felt safe on the planet. And the mistake I made was I was looking for somebody outside of me to make me feel safe. We are so conditioned as well, especially women. Oh, I need a man to make me feel safe, or I need somebody else. But that's actually not true. We've got masculine and feminine energy within us, and we just need to become those healthy expressions, king and queen of ourselves, healthy mother, father of ourselves, so that childlike parts of us, those protective parts of us, stop reacting for your attention because they've actually got it, and they will really calm down, and you'll develop a really beautiful relationship. I noticed the other day that I was racing in my sleep because me and my husband were going through a transition. We're going through into a new season of our relationship. We're discussing moving and things. And that's brought up some uncomfortable conversations. But my body was going into old patterns because it's like, oh no, he's a man and this is unsafe and he's not happy and we're not making him happy by having needs. Oh, we need to not do that. And as soon as I saw, I'm like, oh my God, my body is actually tight while I'm sleeping because of this. And this isn't current day situation. This is the past. And I just need to be there for that part of me and let her know it's actually really safe for you to express your needs in this relationship and for you to want different things and for you to work on that together and have a healthy relationship together. So, this is the first thing, your internal relationship. And then the external. In your life, what power dynamics are you part of? So, our families have power dynamics, the world has power dynamics, workplaces have power dynamics, politics has power dynamics. You can see it everywhere, where the narcissist projecting shame, and then the ones that don't like to project the shame are kind of swallowing it. Like an older person in my family who would just talk to me really badly and say that I was supposed to take it because they're my elder. And I never really understood that because I was like, okay, but I'm a human being. I don't think you need to be horrible to me. Look at the world that we see. There's so many crazy things going on right now, which is we are this country, we are this. So therefore, it's okay for us to do this. But we're starting to see that actually it's not okay. We're all humans, we're all the same. So there's these certain systems that are set up in your life in all these different areas, even like friendship groups or in your communities, seeing what those dynamics are and where do you need to have boundaries, where are you shrinking, where are you feeling less safe. Having boundaries in these relationships is a journey, but if you are kind of saying to your younger self, oh sorry, you still have to kind of deal with that, then they're not going to stop the protective strategy they've been doing all of your life because you're still kind of doing it in that work relationship or in that friendship. This is a real opportunity to clean up relationships, spend less time in the ones that are like disrespecting you, do lots of self-care before and after. I used to be really good at this. I would see certain relationships, but I didn't just take really good care of myself. But then it got to a time where I was like, actually, this is still draining my energy and it's not really good for me. So I'm just going to take a step back from those relationships. Whatever works for you, so you can create that emotional safety. Emotional safety is it is safe for me to be seen, heard, be myself, that I can give and receive love, that I don't need to swallow somebody else's shame and their projection and their anger. We're all human beings. So we all have difficult emotions like anger, shame, sadness, fear. We don't need to project that onto other people and have them swallow the poison. We can just learn our own techniques to process those emotions. Now, the problem with empaths and sensitives and why we've been such magnets to narcissists is that we very needless and very wantless and we're kind of swallowing our own emotions. So this healing, so you can have healthy relationships, means that you have to have a healthier relationship with yourself. You have to take radical responsibility for the ways that you are not being great to yourself. So that masculine energy, I would notice that I could be a bit of a narcissist to myself. I could be like a really toxic father, a really controlling, abusive, nothing is ever good enough. So even though my dad's not in my life, his voice, his words were still in my energy field. It didn't mean anything that he was dead. He was still very much in my patterns. So this is a way in which that frequency, if you're speaking to yourself really, really badly all of the time, then you are going to attract people that speak to you badly as well. So the more and more that you repair these patterns within you, and it's a real self-awareness, a real slowness to catch it. This is the work we do in my It Ends With Me community because These things, like, you're like, this is just my personality. I've just had a really low self-esteem, or I just have a really harsh inner critic. You can not have a harsh inner critic. You can change you can be somebody different tomorrow, and you would have a completely different life, regardless of that childhood that you had. So it's just having this awareness, coming into the community, coming onto our coaching calls, sharing in the messaging, sharing our patterns and our programs and what we're noticing helps you to bring those things into the light. You want to be emotionally safe to be who you are, and you want relationships in your life that are supportive of that. And starting to work on having boundaries and being that healthy masculine that you so needed. You needed someone to say, no, don't talk to my daughter like that. No, that's not okay. For people to be angry and be like, oh, well, that's just the way it is. Well, that's not okay for me, thanks. It's actually you stepping up and being that person, you being brave enough to hurt other people's feelings, to being the villain in somebody else's story because you're like, this isn't good for me and I am more important. So it's ending all of the self-abandonment and the self-betrayal for other people's love, right? Because that is a pattern from childhood. If I betray myself, I can get a crumb of love. If I put myself last, then maybe someone will love me. Or if I'm the good girl, I'll receive some kind of love. But it leaves you feeling quite empty. You feel quite lonely because it's actually not authentic or real. The next chakra is the sacral. So this is where we store shame. This is our center of desire too. So I'm going to tell you two little things about this energy center. So the first thing is the shame. A narcissist, when they feel shame, not good enough, less than, they project that onto someone. And then empath sensitive, who doesn't have those kind of boundaries, isn't going to have a fight with someone, isn't going to project onto them because they know what that feels like and they don't want to hurt people. You are absorbing it like a sponge. You've been doing that since you were a kid, and then you've been doing it as an adult. So, like the daughter of a narcissist, like myself, I feel like I was like this sponge for my dad. So all of the shame, all of the self-hate that he had, all of the abusive thoughts, he would throw those up onto me and I would mop it up. That is so dangerous because that made me be an absolute doormat to other people to do that to me. That made me very dysfunctional in relationships because I felt like I was less than absolutely everybody. And it also affects you physically because you have no protection and it goes into your organs. That anger that you've swallowed goes into your liver. It goes into your gut. This is where a lot of women will have a lot of autoimmune because they haven't been able to say no to that. The book, I always talk about this, Gabor Mate's book, When the Body Says No. He talks about how the swallowing of other people's shame and their anger and their fear, how it physically messes you up. I had to go through a literally like a purge of shame. So I was like, what are all the shame stories that I'm holding on to? What was happening as I was growing and evolving, I was triggering people. So I was triggering people in my life. So then I would be getting the like really shitty comments. When I was younger, I would try to control that, where I would notice that my light or me being more my authentic self was making people feel less than. So then I would shrink myself or sabotage myself so that I would not upset them, which is insane, not on a conscious level, but unconsciously making yourself smaller so you don't feel to make people feel bad, so that they don't project on you and that you can stay safe. But that is a way in that shame can be so freaking toxic. Go back to the world stage where we have a lot of narcissists running countries, that they're wounded children. They're wounded children running on this. I feel good enough, so I'm going to use power and control to try and fill that hold when it doesn't. Whereas people that have been on the receiving end of that narcissistic relationship, it's like almost feeling like victims to the shame. No, you don't need to be part of the relationship. You can have boundaries. Going from the first exercise, which is about internal safety, and then going to this next exercise, which is about shame, you learn so much about what you as a human being need, what you need in relationship? What is healthy for you? What makes you feel emotionally safe? For example, I couldn't be with someone that shouts and is quite angry. That would be really bad for my nervous system. So that was an absolute red flag for me. But for somebody else, they haven't had that experience and they don't really care. That was like a passionate way in their life. So it's like a completely different thing. So when we're going through each of these chakras and we're doing this deeper work, and we're clearing away the old things, we're learning about ourselves and what we actually want in relationships, how this shows up in your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, how this shows up in your protective strategies, how you're sabotaging, how you're avoiding. All of this is information. And it's like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do instead. How do I get from there to there? And it's quite simply working with your inner child and your protective parts of your nervous system, working with your nervous system, growing yourself up, becoming mature emotionally, and being like the leader of yourself. And this is all the work that we do in my community. It ends with me, or you can apply for one-to-one. All the details are in the notes. I'm 44 now, and last year I went on this like little pilgrimage to like all the houses where my dad was abusive to me. And I basically showed myself he was gone. And I also showed myself that the shame that I'd carried on his behalf, almost like his shadow, his baton, I was like, I'm going to put that over there. I'm not carrying that anymore. So when somebody is rude to me or disrespectful or unkind, I'm kind of shocked. But in the old days, that was just normal for me. But now I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not okay. And also, I can equally see when in a relationship, we're talking about a lot about bringing healthy relationships into our lives, but relationships always bring things up, even the healthiest relationship. And if you are looking at your relationship through the lens of shame, so you're seeing yourself as not good enough, and your partner does something, but it feels to you like, oh, he's shaming me. My needs are not important. But actually, it's the filter of the past that's looking at it. That it's your perception over that thing. And it's really hard when you've had these narcissistic relationships, is because you don't know what is real. You're like, am I making this up? Is this actually a violation? Or is it my things? Like it's can be a bit confusing sometimes. So that's why being in community and being around other people that are repairing relationships and wanting healthy relationships is so helpful, because most of the world is not having one. I realized that my inner child was showing up in my marriage, and she was feeling like she wasn't being heard, or that her needs weren't important, and she was making my husband into her dad. And that could have been a real problem. Like that was causing a disruption in our relationship. And I wasn't fully aware, but I had to slow down and kind of connect. And then I could see that, I see what I'm doing there. Not with any judgment, not with any shame, not with any, oh, I'm an awful person, but just owning it and then explaining to my husband what the pattern was and then how I was going to work on that together. So relationships are always going to bring up another layer of this. And that's not a bad thing, because it means you have a healthier intimacy and you're more deeper connection, and it's a more authentic relationship. But it takes bravery and it takes courage. And I actually just imagine the shame melting as well. I would imagine light going into my body and just all of that shame that I'd been carried for so many years was just melting and melting away. The other thing about the sacral is it's where our desire is as well. So when you have had low self-worth, when you've been abused, the bar can be very low. It can just be, I just want to be safe. Rather than what do you truly desire? Like what makes your heart just like burst open? Somebody to travel the world with, or somebody that you could be nomadic with. What is the desire rather than the obsession with safety? So when we're sort of taking away that shame and we're making that system feel safer on the inside, and then also how we act in life, that then we can begin to unlock our desire. When I first start working with clients, they find like, oh, where would I like to be in 6 months or 12 months or a year? Really difficult. But as their self-worth increases, as they feel less shame, they begin to unlock more and more of their desire, which is so, so great, because you've got to think about what do you truly want, not like what society told you to do. Your desire for relationships, is it what everybody else told you to have, or is it what you truly want? Is it what you saw in a movie, or is it what your family said love was, or is it what you truly want? I have something called the Healthy Love Tracker, which helps you identify your red flags and also what you truly want in relationships, whether it be romantic or whether it be friendship, community, clients, whatever. It's a free download, so I'll pop it into the notes, and it can really help you to start to be like, what do I want? Like when I ask people that at the beginning, they don't know. They don't know because they've been so abused. All that they can really think of is I want to be really safe. But when you go on this journey of healing each energy center, you begin to realize that, oh, I do this thing. This is better for me. I could really do with a person like this. I love people that are deep. I love people that can have the deepest conversation about all of the things. That's just my thing, right? I'm not like a superficial kind of person. It's not really my jam. And I used to feel shame about that because a lot of the world, society, and it's more surface level, and I felt like weird and different. Actually, I'd like to spend more time with people that are like me, and then actually creating a plan to do that, to be around more like-minded people has been so amazing and has helped me find relationships. So that's why desire is so important, because it's like, okay, well, I love people that are spiritual and are working on themselves. I will go to a women's circle and we can all discuss like how we're using that moon to change our lives. Or I have a great friend that I speak to on voice notes, and we're always talking about our deepest things from childhood to our dreams, and it's just so beautiful. If I hadn't connected to my desires, I wouldn't have realized that's what I was longing for from female relationship. Before it was just bodies, just having people there. Your desire is really going to help you to bring those people into your life, right? Because not desiring a narcissistic relationship, you want to receive too. And actually being really clear about what you want can help you filter out the relationships that are not right, especially if you use my tracker in the notes. So now we're going on to the third chakra, the solar plexus. So this is our center of power and action taking. What I see with people that have had narcissistic abuse, imbalanced relationships, and they become very hyper vigilant from childhood is relationships are straining because they overthink them. And there's a lot of ways in which relationships drain their power. So your power is your life force energy. It's what you create. So you could spend a day writing a book that could change your life and other people's lives. Or you could sit that same day and be worrying about what other people think, worrying about who likes you, who doesn't, worrying about who's going to reject you. Like all these thought patterns are draining your power, right? And then you have actual people that are doing it as well. So people that speak to you badly, the people that project, people that are not kind. Some people are like, I'm self-sabotaging, or I'm not taking action towards having the relationship or going for the career that I want. It's often because there's a lot of energetic drainage going on in this center. Have a little think, sit back, look at your life, notice where your thoughts are, notice what your feelings are, notice what your actions are. And are they going towards creating the life that you actually truly want? Or are they trying to keep you safe and protect you? Because that is going to keep you in stuckness, right? Left lots of narcissistic relationships, but I'd still think about them a lot. So I had to clean that energy up, or maybe going to see them on social media or seeing who had liked your post. It's like I'm noticing I'm doing that, so I'm going to tidy that up. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm noticing when I go to this type of family function, I'm really drained afterwards. Oh, when I'm about to do this, I get so much anxiety and I eat really badly, and then I'm an anxious mess. Noticing what are the subtle things that you're doing very unconsciously, thoughts, feelings, actions that are draining your power, draining your life force, and are actually creating the opposite of what you want. This can also be things like your habits, like eating a certain way, drinking in a certain way, being really busy, things like that, because you're doing that. That's a protective strategy. Why are you doing it? Step back and go, oh, why am I doing that? It's like, oh, I'm eating like that because I hadn't had enough water that day, right? It could be something very simple like that. Or it could be something like, oh, it's because I have been doing that since I've been little. I've just been so obsessed with the narcissist that that's what takes my power away. This journey of going from narcissistic relationships to healthy love is a journey of you reclaiming your power, your life force, your wants, your needs, you as a sovereign person, you as someone that doesn't merge with people. That's another drain of that power center, is that you are like picking up on your family members, checking on everybody, and it's draining from your body. It can make you sick and it keeps you in a stuckness. Codependency is really huge here as well. I'm only okay if you're okay. That's a strategy used as a child, but it's actually holding you back from having your life because you're draining life force to make sure other people are okay, and you're not feeding that into where you want to go with your life, relationships and love that you want in your life. This is how we can take absolute responsibility for this, is looking at where our energy is going. Even just looking at your diary, looking at your week. I see people that just give a lot to other people and that just drains the life out of them. They take responsibility for their parents, for their emotions. They're just doing lots of stuff like being the nice girl and being good to everyone, but being absolutely awful to themselves. They want so much that relationships that are healthy and loving and mutual, but they don't have a healthy relationship with themselves. So this is something that you can really balance. And like the sabotage behavior, like the avoidance or the numbing, that doesn't happen for no reason. It's normally because you're quite drained and you don't have the capacity to give yourself something new. I work with people who want to call in romantic love. It's like, where are you going to fit it in? Because you're too busy trying to get everyone to like you. So where are you going to fit in a healthy relationship? Because you can't even build one with yourself. I say this with so much love, but that's the truth of the matter, because we've been in these patterns. Something that really blocked me to have romantic love was I didn't want to upset anyone, because if I had the boyfriend and they didn't have the boyfriend, they would get really upset. I mean, what the hell? But that's what an empath and a sensitive who's in her shadow can do. This is the kind of stuff we've got to clear up, which is why I love the energy centers, because you can become aware of like patterns that you're in. When we understand each of these centers, what we're doing, we can tweak, a weekly, a daily schedule so it's supportive of that. When we're coming out of some of these really protective strategies, like setting boundaries, like saying no, like reclaiming our power, and other people getting upset as we do that, somatic exercises are so important, because then you're showing your body it's safe for me to do this, and working with your inner child. When I have done some scary things like end relationships, which I knew would really upset the people that I did it to, but I absolutely had to do it for my own well-being and for my own journey. I had to pick myself over them. I had to hurt someone, which I don't love doing. And that was really hard for me. So I had to do a lot of work with my nervous system and with body to help it to feel safe, that it's safe for me to put my emotions before other people. It's safe for me to put my emotional needs ahead of somebody else's. It's safe for me to hurt somebody else because I honor myself, not because I'm like a horrible, evil person. Well, I might be in their story, to be fair. Next one is your heart chakras. What I see with people that have had a lot of narcissistic abuse is they can have really big walls around their heart to protect themselves. So they're much more comfortable giving to people, but actually receiving easily feels really, really unsafe. So they can sabotage healthy love. I've done some crazy stuff with this. I've talked myself out of the healthiest relationships. I've spent less time and energy on the relationships that are good for me over the ones that are more abusive. Noticing your relationship with giving and receiving, where the relationships are in balance, and balancing that. So that might mean just doing what the other person does, or if you're like this relationship is just totally a one-way show, then ending that, and really having this new relationship with giving and helping taking those walls down, because it's like, well, I don't trust myself in relationships now because I've had so many unhealthy ones, so I'll just keep myself alone. And that's a protective strategy that can be really, really bad for you, really bad for your health, because as humans, we're meant to be together, we're meant to be connected. This is relational wounding that you have had from the narcissistic abuse, which is why it keeps playing out in other relationships. It won't just be with people, it can even be with money and your body as well. So the way to repair that is, obviously, first step is having a healthy relationship with yourself, but it is with other people. It is by allowing yourself to be seen and heard, by safe relationships, allowing you to express your wants, allowing you to be witnessed in your journey of shedding your shadows. And that's why I created It Ends With Me, the community, so that it's a safe place where women can do this work together to bring in healthy relationship patterns, bring in the healthy relationships that they want, witnessing each other, even though we're online. It's so healing. One of my friends that I mentioned earlier, that we like voice note most days, And that was so healing for me because I was able to celebrate with her, but also to talk about the things that were difficult that I was moving through. And I always felt like nobody had time or capacity to have that with me. And this friend, she needed the same. And that became such a healing relationship for us. And it actually meant we raised the standard of relationships in our lives across the board because we were in a reciprocal relationship. Now, me healing on my own, I wouldn't have been able to get there. That's why to heal the heart, you need relationships too. Relationships that are safe, that you can fully express yourself. You can say what you want, you can say what you desire, who are going to celebrate you when you are making changes. They're not jealous of you, they're not resentful of you, they're not projecting onto you. There's nothing more beautiful. And sometimes it's online community. Sometimes it's going to hanging out with strangers because they feel safer than the people that we know. And that is a big part of the healing journey. And for you to get over the barrier of the receiving of love for just being who you are, just being your authentic self, that's actually really hard. When you've grown up where love is conditional, where love isn't safe, where love is maybe a weapon, to let love in and to work with it, it can be scary because it's the unknown and your nervous system doesn't really know how to do that. I've been working with women and men that have had lower self-worth and are the givers in their relationship. And I noticed that when they come into my spaces and they have this love and this support, they'll invest in it and they won't even use it properly because it's almost not feeling worthy of receiving. And so if you're going to come into my community, you want to make sure that you are ready to work on having the healthy relationships by allowing yourself to be seen and to allow people to give and give to you as well. Because it's beautiful to give, but like it's so nourishing to receive, right? And in the beginning, when I wasn't doing this with a community, I didn't feel quite safe with people. It was definitely with my cat and with nature and things like that, and one person, which was my husband. It was really there. But then I started to go out a little bit more and gradually expanding that all of the time. I can say, as somebody that grew up with a number of narcissistic relationships in my childhood, I don't have any of those people around me anymore, and I feel completely emotionally safe in the world to be myself. The final chakra is the throat. This is being seen and expressing yourself as your authentic self. What I realized from the abuse that I've had in my life was there was so much censoring and there was so much dumbing who I was down, so much watering down of my truth, of my depth, because I just wanted not to be rejected. That meant that I wasn't really my true self. So I was attracting relationships that weren't aligned. And then I would feel like rejected and not loved. That doesn't help us to be what somebody else wants us to be, to water things down, because that's not authentic love and that doesn't feel easy. That feels like work that can burn you out, that can make you perform. So learning how to feel safe, because we've worked on that further down, but to actually express your needs. This is something that you will find in relationships, right? Is when I'm saying my truth, they're still going to love me, or we're going to compromise, or we're going to find a way that works for both of us. As I mentioned earlier, that manifesting a great relationship, a romantic love, like I managed to do, I managed to break the pattern and fall in love with my husband, which was so wonderful, even though I met parts of myself during that process, the part that wanted to sabotage because his type of love was unfamiliar to me. Our relationship went on and we were going through different seasons and growing together. I would find that I wouldn't want to upset him because he doesn't like change and I'm all about change. I'm like, I've been a change manager in my career, I help people with personal change all the time. And I found myself not fully expressing that to him because I was like people pleasing, because I was afraid to rock the boat, because I was suppressing my needs once again, because he has been such a great support and now I'm changing. What if I lose him or something? So that's been like a journey again to be like, okay, and now having those difficult conversations, being honest about some of the shadow things that I'm not very proud of, that I can talk to him and explain this is what kind of a pattern that I've been in. It's fun being married to someone with a complex trauma background, but explaining what's going on, like how it's how you're working on it, and both of you as well, not just you. The throat is so important to be your authentic self, because that's how you will attract the people that are actually meant for you, and not the crummy people that you have to act a certain way and be what they want them to be, what they want you to be, and then they love you. Otherwise, they're not really that bothered with you. Another thing about the throat is the expression of your boundaries, is the expression of your truth, is not lying to set a boundary or to not do something that you don't want to do, showing up authentically in every area of your life, so that your system can let some of these protective strategies go that have been blocking your authentic love for you. When you're trying to go from narcissistic relationships to healthy love, it's because you drop the performance, and because when you are truly yourself, your people can find you. I mean, I share the story all the time. My husband worked with me, and when I was performing and people pleasing to get some guy to love me, or friends, or whatever I was doing, we weren't a match for each other. But when I worked on being honest with myself, when I worked on showing myself love, connecting to my desires, processing my shame, creating internal safety, taking back my power, ending toxic relationships, balancing the giving and the receiving, when I was doing all these things, my frequency was shifting. And then I became a match for him, and he became a match for me. I was never pretending with him, and he loved who I authentically was. Um, and that's massively healing. And my throat is a big part of that. And being able to do that is what creates the magnet of the healthy love. The journey to show who you truly are comes from you loving who you are, in the sense of being proud of that person and not shaming her. Everyone is on a journey. I'm taking layers of the abuse off year after year. But I see with clients, when they can really embrace some of what we've been speaking about, those shields to the love go away. They don't put other people on pedestals. They can put like relationships and men and friendships on a pedestal because they have no self-worth. But as you build self-worth, you are shoulder to shoulder in your relationships. No performance, no what do I need to do for love, the little strategies that you learn. And just being really curious about yourself in relationships and behaviors that you do. I noticed something even over the Christmas period when I saw my family, that I was quieter, that there was a part of me that was performing. They're not asking me to perform, but part of me was, because that was an old version of me that's like, oh, okay, this is how I need to behave. A great way to really break an old identity is like moving house, moving jobs. These kind of things can like physical environmental changes can really help us shed some of those patterns that you have been in for a really long time. Like environment kind of reinforces that, especially when you've been on a really big healing journey. So we've gone through the 5 chakras. I haven't talked about the crown or the third eye, but that's your intuition. Following your intuition, it will lead you to your partner, or it will lead you to your relationships that you desire. That little nudge that we like, oh, apply for that job, or go do that activity. All those little things, it's pointing you towards your people. But you won't hear it as well because it will be in the lens of survival in your other chakras. So that's why I really love to do this work too, so we can clear them together. So you can book in for just a one-to-one 90-minute session, and we can do that there. You can apply for one-to-one for long-term coaching, or come into my community It Ends With Me, where we do this deeper relational work. When we work one-to-one, we can go deeper into your shadows, so we can really pull out what are the patterns you're doing and be really clear about, this is the new identity. This is how she thinks. This is how she feels. This is how she acts. This is the old protective strategies, and this is what you're going to do instead. This is the old story. This is now the new story. We know this is where it comes from. This is how we parent them. This is how we help the nervous system. And when you do that, your relationships will begin to change around you. And that's why avoidance isn't the best thing, because you can't actually see if you're changing. It's only when you start to date or to try to connect with people, you start to notice, who am I attracting? When I was on my dating journey, I remember I did some work, and then I went to date again, and I noticed there was some changes. Before, I was getting a lot of literally unavailable men, and then it became they were single and available, but I noticed I wasn't really interested in the really nice ones. I was only interested in the ones with the chase. So it showed me, oh, another layer of healing. So I really looked into my relationship with non-dramatic love, like, and I looked at that. And then that next layer came off, and then that's when I met my husband. But I wouldn't know that until I went through all those stages of like, oh, okay, I'm attracting this guy now. There was a time when I was attracting no men, when I was like thinner and prettier and younger. And that's because I had such high protection, protecting myself from romantic love because I didn't trust myself with it. But then I started to attract people, but they were very unavailable. Again, it was a way for me to avoid intimacy. So every layer taught me something about myself that showed me a mirror into my unconscious wounds. And then I could be like, okay, we need to recover another layer. We need to recover a layer. This is a very similar relationship with things like money and body and things as well. But I'll do another video on that. So anyway, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know about maybe some of the patterns that you're doing right now. We'd love to celebrate you for catching the pattern. Tell us about where you are on your journey. Have you come out of the narcissist relationships? Do you know where that comes from? If there's anything that I can create for you, if you want to know more about childhood patterning of how we get into this, or because I've lived this, recovered, I would love to be able to support you. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about your stories. If you want more support, come into my community. It ends with me. All the details and the freebies and all the things are there. And I will speak to you in the next episode.